Hi everyone. My name is Miles from a company called Promodo, based in actually the UK, but it's also great to hear actually that a number of people have actually heard of us, which I'm quite surprised. But it's great to hear that, of course, we are sort of known here in Poland. What we do is we actually cover digital marketing as a whole. So we cover every areas such as social media, PPC, and also, of course, SEO side of things. And today what I wanted to do is make sure that we went through all the details of the best way to spend your marketing budget on SEO. Now this is normally, of course, to e-commerce retailers and so on, but of course majority of people here are developers, of course, and so on. So hopefully this will be related to you as well. Even though it's good to see there's a few people still left in the room, I know the after party is not that long to go, so it's great to have somebody here itself. The reason why we wanted to be a part of this today is because Magento, a lot of our clients basically use this platform, and of course it's pretty close to us in our heart from that point of view. And what we do is we keep on getting asked very, very similar questions, and this can be from anything from literally the customer's point of view, or actually their developers are actually asking us questions. And some of them seem to be very basic, so a lot of them I'm sure you'll be covering anyway, but sometimes it's quite useful to go back to how you started and actually relive everything that you used to do back at the start again. So this is going to help companies either going to start from nothing, from an e-commerce startup, all the way to a well-established e-commerce solution already. So hopefully this is going to help you come back with some feedback. As I mentioned, just some information really about ourselves here at about Promodo. There's now, this is a little bit unfortunately old, but now it says 120, but now there's 165 of us. We're actually based UK, Ukraine, Russia, and Kazakhstan, but also we're moving into the EU as well as the US very, very shortly when we can do. But it allows us to obviously push our products and push the services across the world, so we can actually help companies that are going to want to market into a different country altogether. So any country solution, any language solution, and we'll be able to help them in that point of view. I've already mentioned this side, of course, about pay-per-click solutions and so on, but that's something we can help. Now, in regards to the work that we get involved in, and also regarding the information that comes through, the questions that we always ask is almost from the very, very basics, as mentioned before. And really, you have to actually start at the preparation stage. There's only simple two areas that you need to cover when it comes to simple terms of SEO. Full preparation, so that's got to be back to the very basics of keyword research is always a classic one itself, but also, of course, all the original content that you want to be pushing. And of course, once you actually start gaining a little bit of traffic, that's the whole idea of starting with keyword research and your preparation work. You want to be able to make sure that you can convert it better, or improve, obviously, on what you've already got itself. And the other side, of course, is just actually pushing links that you may have already. So you want to improve on who you're actually linking out to, or what we call outreaching to. Or, of course, if you're starting with absolutely nothing, you've got to start from somewhere. So from this, the preparation stage, itself, I believe personally myself is actually going to be going back to the core situation. So going back to who you are as a business and what you actually want from your e-commerce website solution. So coming back to almost a semantic core, or I don't know, maybe a highly spec'd core about what your business is, and also the products that you have to review and so on, because a lot of people miss this. So even though from the very beginning and early stages, this can be put into place, but people forget this all the time. And it's quite frustrating from our point, because of course, if we're going to start building up a campaign with a client, we want to make sure that they're fully aware of the products that they've got, but also what's going to be coming out in the future. And if they forget small areas of their website, then unfortunately, these are opportunities where you might be able to miss from an SEO point of view. One area is very, very important is don't actually make sure you're actually spending a lot of time actually into this area. We find actually that when customers come to us and say, yep, we've actually thought of the whole strategy, we've thought of the whole plan, and when I actually say, well, how long have you actually put into place for this? They actually say, well, we spent a day or two. That's just not good enough at all. You have to literally put more weeks involved in what you want to get out of your business itself. Also, an area that is always forgotten, and this is a very, very frustrating point from our point of view, is of course everyone wants to build their website to try and grab the traffic that is the best performing keywords that they can get. Of course, the volume of traffic to the website is an absolute bonus. But if you want to actually do this on a quick basis, of course, why don't you target long keywords? The long tail keywords itself is actually the best opportunity you can get to drive traffic to your site now and as soon as possible you can get. And of course, from that point, you have to actually start building up the site and the content. So first of all, how do you actually start building up what we would call a semantic or significant core from that point? And through there, you've got to start from the very basics. So again, it's through the keyword research itself. Now, of course, I've listed over here a few of the tools already. Google as being, you can use Google Trends to do research, of course. You can actually use Google Autocomplete when, of course, you're trying to actually fill out the search bar. The most important one, of course, is the Keyword Planner tool. Very effective itself when you want to do this free research yourself back home. One of our partners, SEMrush, excellent tool. I had literally no faults at all with these guys at all. But what you'll find out is it's very useful to have a tool with, it might give you like a 13, 14 day trial period. It might be worth for you to actually pay that extra to move it on to the other features. Other free tools such as Ubersuggest. We also have the Keyword Tool.io site. I don't know if you've actually heard of those, but it's very, very good for research itself. And the other one in the end there, what we've done is just use your brain. Just literally brainstorm with your team. If you're a small team itself, just deal with your partners that are some part of the business because you're the experts in what you actually portray. So making sure that converts into the site from the very beginning, or if you're an established e-commerce website already, rolling back to the basic cores again, and just making sure that the whole site is working from the very start again. Once you've got these keywords, and it's going to be a lengthy list of keywords, make sure you put them into groups by simply their meaning and their intent. And this is going to be a whole vast lot of keywords that you can put into place. But the hard work is going to be well worth it because you can group everything nice and separate and you can understand where the site and where your product pages are going to be pushed. Certainly, on the other side of things, it's actually relating back to actually the long tail keywords. On that point of view, is if you're actually creating content for them, again, this is going to actually generate traffic a lot quicker for you from this point, and that is going to be the biggest push that you're going to have because there's always going to be something you may have missed. And of course, the thing what you want to watch out for is if you're researching your competitors, is make sure that they're looking out for keywords as well, but they will be probably going for the short and very, very high volume traffic keywords. If you can, target the long tail keywords because you can convert them much, much quicker. And of course, you'll be ranking better within the SERPs from that point very quickly. So once you've done that and you're actually slightly going to getting some traffic to your site, or of course, established traffic already, how on earth are you going to actually look at converting some of these? Well, I'm still amazed that people come to us on websites, either Magento related or not, and they still don't actually have customer reviews. I know there's only a few people here, but is there actually anyone, if you raise your hand up, who actually still use customer reviews? Not many. Not many. Okay, well what happens is this is actually a very, very good tool still for purposes for SEO. This is very useful because personally my difference, I even actually look at this as well, where you're looking at a product, even though you know it like the back of your hand, you still want to see somebody else's experience of it. But this will actually convert well for you as well, because of course you've done the hard work driving the traffic to your site. So why don't you look at customer reviews as a tool to maybe actually convert this into a sale? Product presentation. People come to us and actually show us some of the sites that they have on the, again, not necessarily focused on Magento, but it can be actually on any e-commerce platform, and I'm still amazed the quality of images that people use. Sometimes we even come across some that are actually still pixelated. Well, if that's not going to work for us, it certainly isn't going to be working for your customers, and certainly visitors to the site. So it's important to get this image and your correct, I don't know, image that you want to put on the product itself. For one example that we had just recently, a few months ago, is an Italian fashion company, and I noticed that actually their picture quality was fantastic. No problems at all with that. But their t-shirts in the menswear, they were actually on hangers, and they looked fine, they looked okay, but what we did was actually notice that they had a logo on the side of their sleeves on all the products they were selling. We had a look, and none of the images would actually, you couldn't see that at all. So one suggestion that we put across was actually, why don't you use a mannequin of all things? Why don't you actually put these clothes on a mannequin and just take pictures from the front, the side, and actually the back, even if the back was plain? They put this across. They thought, we've tried something similar before, but let's see if it works this time. This was a few years ago. And what suddenly happened? Conversions. Didn't drive any more traffic, obviously, but the conversions actually improved because their product was getting presented much better by simple terms of that. This has already been spoken about actually quite a few times today already. UX and design, the conversations and the conversions on the side. Now what we do is we normally talk to our the customers, developers, also designers, and we work with them very closely. And unfortunately, sometimes we actually do hear that the relationship isn't 100% with the customers. And really, you need to make sure that the customer with Magento platform or any other e-commerce platform, that they're getting everything across perfectly as it should be on the development side. Your designer is going to know exactly the ins and outs on how to actually make sure this page is going to be converting better for you. In forms of link building opportunities on there, we've actually got product feedback, actually, the samples. I don't know if not many people do this, but it's worked for a few of our clients before. One being a triathlon customer, and they're based actually in London. And what they do is they were struggling to actually gain new traffic and new people to the sites. They were converting well, and the traffic with the site was actually performing very well for itself, but they were just missing out on some extra traffic. And what we wanted to do is just say, well, hang on, we looked at your link profile, it wasn't particularly that great. We actually started looking and asking the questions, who are the celebrities, or who are the more famous people in relation to that niche, which was triathlons? And being in the UK and the US at the time, it wasn't that big, actually. So what we did was we actually asked and said, well, why don't we approach these people? And if you can afford to do it, can you actually offer them to either give them a product or just ask for it back once they've reviewed it? And this has actually helped quite a lot because, of course, we found out that some of their specialists and some of the celebrities had their own blog, or they actually were very willing to say, of course we'll try this out. So they actually had one of these smartwatches, or it was a computer dedicated to triathlons that could help them go through the swimming, help them go through their heartbeat, of course, when they're running, but then also on the bike side of things as well. And they actually did it. And out of around about 10 people that we approached, actually 4 of them said, we'd love to. Didn't seem a lot, I know, but of course we don't know what their busy schedules are. Been doing these triathlons are very, very popular at the moment around Europe. And it worked. All that happened was, of course, is the celebrity, or this case the specialist, actually wrote a review which they could post on their website. And of course they put internal linking in that side of things. Or because they had their own blog, absolutely perfect. They actually they published this actually onto their own site and linked back straight to the client's site. And that was superb. So if there's a really, really useful way of doing this, and you can afford to actually send a product sample or a product out there to a client to review, it'd be very useful for you. Trusted specialist reviews, well, yeah, this can help quite a bit. I mean, I put Trustpilot down there. There's obviously lots out there to choose from. But what we do is we're actually finding at the moment that people that are reviewing things of customer service, shipping, I've even actually seen one on one of our clients who was actually talking about the attitude of how their customer service was. And they were actually getting 4 to 5 stars, which was great. Now that's actually helping for them as well. And of course, with this, it's going to slightly help improve things within the SERPs as well, because your site is, of course, is getting now posted on other websites as well, especially when they're trusted. Coupons, I'm not a huge fan of coupons myself. I don't use them a lot, but we do actually here at the moment, for example, coupons is going to be a very important area. We're finding in the US, I believe at the moment being 2015, they actually have, now it's I'm quite sure it's 9% of abandoned carts are actually because they haven't actually found a coupon code. Now I didn't believe that until I saw the stat myself, but that was a bit of a shock. From somebody who doesn't actually use coupon codes themselves, I think it'd be quite useful to actually get maybe your customers, or if you're an e-commerce business owner yourself, is why not actually experiment with that side of things. Directories listings, that's an old one, of course. You can still do that as long as they're actually valued business directories that you want to be put on there. That is the key. Don't put that just out in anywhere or everywhere, but wherever you're based in the world, make sure you're listening to quality local directories still. And as we've just mentioned before, really, reputable blogs and, of course, normal submissions itself. That's a great way of course, link building. And it's white hat, which is the most important area to be working on. I'm quite sure all of you know how to do that itself, but please, because this is almost endless on what you can actually do with white hat methods, just please come and see me at a later stage. That's not a problem at all. The site structure, of course, well, this is going to be, you guys go obviously get involved in this quite heavily when you're talking to your customers on a development point of view. But the site structure, especially from Magento as well, is it's got to be a nice, clean, and completely logical understanding. And you may be able to put that into place already. And of course, when you hand the site over to your customer to say, thank you for the business, here's the website, run with it. But when, of course, they start adding more content and adding new categories or subcategories, this is where things seem to be going wrong. And we sort of, when we start working with a client after development work has actually been done, we're finding out that there's some things are slipping because the customer can't remember or doesn't bother looking at optimization options here. So as long as you're keeping the structure of the site plain and simple, really that's the most important thing. It's got to be obviously focused to make sure it's going to be crawled properly. Being detailed is the key. All you have to do is just make sure you've got the research in place. If you've got things as long tail keywords or competitive keywords in there and you're selling the products, then of course create the content for it and making sure that the URL structure is absolutely perfect for it. SEO benefits, of course, for doing all this above, simply is going to crawl better through the website, through the SERPs itself. So you're going to be found in a lot more places. And if you revisit some of the mistakes that may have been done before, this will actually help greatly for you. From a PPC point of view, though, I know this is from an SEO focus, but from PPC point, of course, what you might find out is your adverts you might actually come a little bit cheaper because Google AdWords, of course, rate things as quality scores on your ads. What this will do is that potentially could reduce that, but more importantly, people are going to be actually landing from the ads that your customers actually make, and hopefully convert better. So they'll be a lot happier. Filters. We all know about filters, of course. You've got the standard filters and you've got non-standard filters. And what I want to do is your standard filters are going to be simple things. When you're actually browsing the website, your visitors are going to be looking at size, maybe color, maybe specification, depending on what you're selling, when they're selecting the products. But what we also do is non-standard filters. And the reason why we class it as non-standard filters is because when you actually can get involved in keyword research, you may find out some opportunities to actually put, instead of the traditional and general filters, is something a little bit different. Now, this was actually from a UK-based business that actually just sells netbooks, then notebooks, then obviously the full-blown gaming laptops and so on. And we just saw an opportunity. That was all it was, and after some of the research that we created, we said, well, hang on, why don't you have a look at some of putting these filters in within your website? And what happened was, we of course had a look at the exact match filters, latest student, reliable laptops, best budget laptops, and we found this actually worked very, very well. And of course it's going to apply differently to your customers or your website, but have a look, think out of the box, think different than what your competitors are doing. Just do something to make you stand out like a sore thumb within the SERPs and obviously promote better. Some of the tips for this, going back to really the original side of things, keyword research, of course, making sure that you're creating content for any non-standard filters that you actually do make within e-commerce. But the other useful one is actually Google image search. People actually do forget about that quite often. It's great that, of course, it's very difficult, or it can be difficult, to be actually ranked within the SERPs, but still a lot of people out there search via Google Images. And why don't you actually take that opportunity to actually give anything to help you promote, even rank higher? Google will actually, of course, help you and guide you in that way even better, and help you promote the website even better. It's anything to help you rank your site even better. Trigger emails. Okay, this isn't particularly SEO, of course, from this point, but it's a regular question we keep on getting asked. People are either nervous about trigger emails. They shouldn't be, of course, because I would imagine most people here already have put that into place. But they're not 100% sure how to use them properly. And of course, the most important thing is, well, we advise you to use it from newsletters, the shocking, of course, and the dreaded abandoned shop and cart, which is normally through the roof, as well as other areas, so other events that you've put into place on your e-commerce site. And for us, it's just simply an opportunity you can't miss. If you're not using them as effective as you'd like to, or you're not using them at all, and we do actually have these conversations with people, then you have to make sure that your client or yourselves are actually using it properly. Now, some of the tips that we'd put on there is if you actually are doing a campaign with a newsletter or anything particularly, is making sure that you actually are using these campaigns on a timely manner. The reason being is because a lot of people come and see a campaign getting run every single week. And if you're a visitor, and you probably get the junk mail yourself, of course, if you're actually receiving special offers or discounts and things from this one store on a regular basis, you're either going to unsubscribe, or when you actually want to use it, you're not going to buy it there and then. You're going to wait the following week because you know there might be a better deal. You never know. So personally myself, I would say review what your strategy needs to be put into place and just do it in a timely manner, not on such a prompt and quick basis every week. Excuse me. Discount offers are available. Personally, I would always say if a customer comes to us and says, right, I want to put a newsletter out, I want to put some details out there, I'm just going to give them a huge discount. Personally, I would actually play with this. I would actually experiment what you think would work, and then if it doesn't work, of course, then just either increase it, or if it's successful, then look at decreasing it. Profit is everything. But make sure that you experiment with some of the discounts that you put into place. And certainly down here, when it comes up to in regards to subscriptions, a lot of people, of course, come to us from that point and actually say, we already have the subscriptions in place, we have everything there, it's no problems, but how on earth can we actually look at generating new subscriptions? How can we get people more proactive on the site itself? Well, actually, why don't you offer them a small little bonus? And I'm not saying maybe a free gift, but every time, of course, but why don't you maybe offer us, obviously, a prize, potentially, or one that we explained about a client, actually, in the UK, where they were actually women's fashion-focused business. And they actually offered and gave sort of seasonal guidelines to the latest fashions that which were in the UK at the time. And what they did was, I said, well, could you actually make maybe a 5, maybe even a 10-page latest fashion for that season PDF? And that was no problems. The marketing team said, of course, that would take us, literally half a day or so. Perfect. Well, why don't you actually offer that as a subscription gift? So when anyone comes to subscribe, they get a PDF straight away. Something free, something simple, but of course it was selling their brands, and of course it was seasonal, which everyone knows, of course, women would buy fashion like there's no tomorrow. So it's going very quick for them. And it worked. It actually worked. So something simple, free, and the marketing team got it done very, very quickly. And it worked for them. And every single thing, it's never the same email. It's, of course, on a seasonal point of view. So it's quite useful. From an email marketing campaign, what we normally find is there's normally a couple of different types of marketing campaigns that are available for you. You've normally got a short-term, or you've actually got a long-term product that you want to be pushing. Now, when it comes to this, I've given an example of beauty cosmetics. If you're trying to actually do an email to a product that you know has got a short life itself, with beauty cosmetics, of course, what you might want to do is you might want to actually note when a customer buys this product and actually send them a letter near the time that you believe the product will be actually coming to its end. Now that might be on and off, of course, maybe a week or two, but again, you're the experts in this area, so you should have a very, very good idea about when their product could come to an end. Send them over an email, and within that email, what you could do is, on that email, what you could do, of course, is just tell them about it and just say, well, hang on, we believe your product's coming out to the end, or you might be running out of your product. Why don't you buy a new one? Or one that worked very, very well, in fact, last week, was we're running out of this on our e-commerce site. So we're running out of this in our store. Why don't you buy now? And that actually worked very well. The other side, of course, is one question we get asked is very simply, what happens if nobody actually opens the email? On this side of things, if it doesn't happen, then I would actually send them a second email in regards to a form of discount. If you're determined to make sure this works, and remember, numbers is a numbers game. So the more you're doing this, the better it's going to work for you. Not everyone's going to obviously buy from you. But that's what I would do. Personally, just approach them with a second email with a small discount possibly. Products with basically a life cycle of 2 years or over, so more hardware or television, electrical goods. In this example here, I've used a coffee machine. What you can approach these people with, of course, is things like extended warranties when you know when it's coming up. You can, of course, send items like coffee filter, for example, when you have an idea when that might be coming to its end of life. But the other option, of course, in the short term, is you can actually send them ideas of why don't you offer them offers of coffee beans and replacements or so on. It depends. Anything from a product itself, or it could be actually industrial. So, of course, commercial use, it could actually even be a lot more for you. One benefit, of course, for any form of email marketing itself is going to actually be the cost of actually this. It's going to be quite small. Apart from, of course, maybe looking at MailChimp as an example, the cost involved in that. But in reality, because you've already got that information or that data, then why don't you actually use it to your heart's content? So there's going to be a very, very small cost to your business and worth every penny. Triggered emails, again, this has actually been sort of covered already, unfortunately, but a triggered email campaign itself, we already know what those triggered emails are. That's going to basically be an email that's going to be something you've already sent over. Again, about shopping abandonment cart or an event that's actually happened on your e-commerce website. With a triggered email, what we would suggest on this side is once you have actually sent your first email to a client, is wait 7 days for any form of response. Now, 7 days is actually very important because a lot of experience that we've had ourselves, but also the feedback from clients is they want to have feedback immediately. They want to know what's happened. Has it been opened? Has my email been checked? And it's a waiting game. It's just hold fire. Don't approach these people as soon as possible. Wait 7 days. If they've actually opened the email, you can check the event here. Just obviously send them a thank you, but also follow this up with, by the same time, you might be interested in these other products. But Amazon, of course, does this sort of thing absolutely perfectly. But that is a very, very useful tool to actually use. If the product is, if they check actually the event itself, and say, for example, the email's not been open, then of course, again, just offer them maybe a form of discount if you believe it's actually worth doing. On that side of things, it could work very well. Instead, now, I didn't really want to cover this on this side because it was obviously SEO that we wanted to focus on this. But Google AdWords, a lot of people just come up to us and say, we need to make sure that we can have a very, very quick and responsive AdWord campaign. What is the best routes to take? Well, simply, if you want to do something quick and get response, look at long tail. It's going to be a lot cheaper for you. Long tail keyword research. The costs are going to be lower as well because, of course, the ads aren't going to be as competitive. And, of course, if you're targeting people that have got a small amount of traffic, it's going to convert better as well for you on that side. But that is really the whole of everything from us. These are my contact details if you'd like to contact me directly. Yes, we're based in the UK, but we're also based abroad as well. And we can help any company in any country, really. If you're looking at maybe targeting another country like the US or the UK or Russia, for example, is a very, very good one for us. We can actually help you promote your products and that side of things. But please, yes, note down the details, or, because of course we're going to be going straight into the hall after this, because I believe this is the last the speech, please feel free to approach me if you've got any questions about SEO or PPC or something that, of course, I have no way being able to cover every form of SEO within 30 minutes, impossible. Please feel free to approach me, and hopefully see everyone at the after party. Thank you very much.